Now, if Aaron Rodgers goes to...
I knew you were going to do it. I knew it. I was like, there's no way he can let this slide.
Because the Raiders.
I knew it. I was like, I know he's going to open up with this today. I knew it. I would have bet $1 million on it.
I mean, I saw the two teams, Denver and the Raiders, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Mark, and then Devin that owns Broadway and Grand here in Spruce.
I know,
is a huge Broncos fan.
Huge Broncos fan.
I'm just gonna hear massive orgasms on two sides of the city. No matter where this guy goes, he goes to Denver or Raiders.
If he goes to Denver, I'm literally gonna cry because it's down to two teams, and I'm telling you right now, I'm gonna go to Broadway and Grand and order the biggest, fattest hamburger you could possibly get, wearing a Rodgers Raiders shirt.
Well, hey, the best burger in Spruce Grove, so you're in the right place. But
I'm gonna drive to there. I'm not gonna gloat, but I'm gonna be wearing a number 12 Raiders shirt inside his place.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I called this at the end of last season. Rodgers isn't happy. This guy wants out. He doesn't like management. He wants to win, and I can't blame the guy.
But it's funny when you said it, people thought you were on drugs. They're like, Jesse's nuts. Laughed at you, and now it's coming. Jesse, you're Jesse the Greek, because remember Jimmy the Greek?
Jimmy the Greek, yeah.
You are Jesse the Greek. I'm done with it. I'm not greasing your nuts, because but I'm telling you the truth. You are bang on about football picks. I've never seen anybody so right in my life. And then when you said the Rodgers thing, I didn't comment because we're partners in the Me and Jesse podcast, so I didn't want to say anything crazy to you. But I was thinking it, and then it's actually happening. And to actually come down to Denver and the Raiders, and I think he's going to pick the Raiders, not because it's a better team or whatever the case may be, for the tax purposes.
Well, that definitely helps, doesn't it?
That's what I think. I think a nice stadium.
Brand new. And really, he hasn't even really broken his chair yet because no fans were there last year. So,
but now they're going to. Now they're going to.
So that place is going to be hopping. There's no question about it. He gets to play. He doesn't have to play in the snow, other than when he has to go to Denver. But he gets to play in air conditioning. Gets to be warm all the time. He could Brady this thing in, as much as I hate to say it, in the Raider land. He could Brady it. Unfortunately, they're still going to miss the playoffs.
No, but Jesse, think about this for 1 second. Think of this 1 second, and please.
Okay.
The NFL guys that come on our show, I'm apologizing right now for what I'm about to say.
All right.
Okay. But if you're trying to tell me that a guy like Derek Carr goes 8-8 with the Raiders, that you're trying to tell me that Rodgers can't go 10-6, we all know he can go 10-6. If he goes 10-6, they make the playoffs. Listen,
the problem is.
Yeah, Mike Mayock. Yes.
And John Gruden.
Yes.
That's the problem there.
That's a big problem.
But maybe they listen to Rodgers a little bit and allow him to start managing, which LaFleur said he was going to do in Green Bay, but obviously
too late.
It's not happening. And
done.
If you outright and say, hey, either the GM goes or I go, you have to let Rodgers go.
Yeah,
in my opinion, I think you do. Because if you really want to build something and you think you have the right management to do it, you have to get rid of Rodgers.
You're 100%. Yep. You have no choice. You have no choice.
And so I agree. It's a tough situation. He's put them in, obviously, but he knew what he's doing. And I think that, I was sweating earlier early in their year when Russell Wilson trade talk was starting.
Could have happened.
But
they did it right.
Russell at least didn't come out and say, I want out, thankfully. They obviously had a meeting and everything got worked out, but Rodgers had actually said, "I want out. I'm not playing with this GM ever again." Yeah,
there's no reconciliation.
I don't think so. I think we're beyond that.
We're down to silver and black or orange and blue, that's what we're down to. And I'm telling you right now, the only thing I'm worried about that Mayock and Gruden are taking care of this deal, because if I was taking care of it, it would have been done already.
When we come back, we'll be joined by the 8-time world champ Jelena Mrdjenovich here on the Me and Jesse podcast.
Get ready. It's time for the Me and Jesse podcast with Mark Pavelich and Jesse Martineau. Get ready. It's time for the...
Welcome back, everybody, to the Me and Jesse podcast. Our special. I've only used so many specials, okay? Our special guest, we love her to death, the one and only 8-time. Let me say this one more time, everybody, just in case you're not listening. The 8-time world boxing champion, the one and only Jelena Mrdjenovich, everybody. Boom.
How you doing?
That's it. I mean, how do you come after an intro like that? Like,
it's the truth.
It's me.
So what everybody's asking now, they're like, they knew you were going to be on the show. They're like, Mark, you got to ask her. I don't got to ask her anything I don't want to ask her. I ask her whatever I want to ask her, and she's going to answer me honestly. And you know what's funny? Your last fight, we're going to talk about it, right? Well, let's get it out of the way right away.
Okay, let's go there.
Let's go there. So
Okay.
last fight, prior to your last fight, you were 14-1 in your last 15 fights. Okay, 14-1 in your last 15 fights. And then last fight, they said, you look phenomenal. You look great. You had an off day at the office. And now
a terrible day at the office.
Okay, and now they're saying Jelena's 38. She's done. She looked 38. Please go.
Okay, so I mean, usually they say the boxer's the last to know. So I mean, to know whether they're old. So I went into Jonathan right after the fight. I went straight after we got our stitches. I went straight upstairs to his room and I sat down. I said, "Okay, let's have the conversation. Did I look old?" And he goes, "No." He goes, "You looked slow and off, like you had a bad day." And I said, 1,000,000%. I had a bad day. I thought I started to pick it up in round 6, and then obviously the 20 seconds of round 7, they let me fight. But I had a bad day at the office. I went in, everything kind of felt off from day one, from the start of the day, and it's almost like I was in zombie land, you know, and unfortunately that's it takes one moment to be off in a fight, and that's when everybody starts questioning you.
Is that something you woke up with that day? Is it like you woke up and you're like, I don't feel right?
No, I think it was a cumulative things that happened. So it was accumulation of just things, you know, like getting a call from, you know, some people and asking questions about, it was accumulation of a lot of shit, you know. And unfortunately, you know, being at the venue, we were there 5 hours before the fight. You know, that being said, Erica was under the same situation. So I'm not using that as an excuse, but for me personally, you know, the girl that was in the lady that was our dressing room official, she was annoying AF, and she started arguing with Jonathan and changed the whole mood of our warm up. And, you know, like, for example, bubble, COVID, everything puts a wrench in everything. But for example, we were warming up, Jonathan and I were hitting pads, and we were warming up for probably off and on, stretching, whatever. We weren't wearing masks for 3 hours, right? But it's also him and I, everybody in that venue is in a bubble because we've all been tested. We've all been at our hotels. You're in a COVID safe environment.
Right.
Not open for the fans. It's open for the cadets, but the cadets are also in a bubble.
Yeah.
But we've had no masks on for 3 hours. Now that the camera's on and optically, she starts arguing with Jonathan about wearing a mask. Jonathan's like, "Me and my fighter are trying to warm up. Can you please leave us alone? Like, we're not doing anything, whatever." So she starts bickering at him. And, you know, to the point where I had to step in and say, "Hey, both of you, wake up, grow up, and leave me alone," like, kind of thing.
Wow.
And it was like, there was just an accumulation of things. Getting cut, obviously, threw a little wrench in the fight. Again, I passed all of the doctor's examinations, and then the referee decided to take the fight in his own hands, which is something you never want in a fight.
Right.
I felt like I finally woke up in round 6 and started, you know, boxing. Probably what I should have done in round 1, but you know, these things happen, and you have to, I think, with challenges and with adversity, you learn to grow or change, or you get consumed. And so this is just another challenge, another little bit of adversity that I have to face in my life, and we can either learn from it and grow, or we can try and make excuses to what happened.
So you're not 38 then.
Please, I was lucky if I was 25 this whole training camp. I mean, isn't that what happens when you cross the border? You can just make up whatever age you want to be.
No, but the part that bothered me so much was the commentators, right. Jelena. The commentators, the first fight. Okay, everybody. Here's the news flash. She's fought in the States twice. Okay, the first time she fought there, everybody loved you. They said you're the shit. You're the WBC this. You're the WBO this. You're the whatever. And they were praising you to death. What? 6 months later, you're too old all of a sudden, and these American announcers just couldn't stop shitting.
4 months. 4 months.
Yeah, 4 months. Right? Sorry, not 6 months. 4 months. And I'm watching this, and I'm like, it was only 4 months ago where you guys were all like bandwagon on, like you were waving her flag, and then all of a sudden, 4 months later, she's 38. They must have said it 50 times during the broadcast. She's 38.
I haven't watched the broadcast yet. So
okay, here's plan B. Now, does plan B turn into your brain? Because I know you very well. Most people, if you're watching the show, don't know how much I know you and love you. So in your mind, are you beyond outraged right now? Are you beyond like you're going to take someone's soul the next time you box with them?
This is the thing. Again, you know me. So I obviously, you saw it in the ring. You could see all the emotions all go through. And if you know me, which you guys do, you know me well, you saw me process. So, I mean, obviously the anger came through at the ref, right, for stopping it, even though I could clearly see. We all know I've been in way worse in fights. I said, so the anger came through. And then you have to turn it off because you have to, obviously, I respect Erica. She showed up when I did not, right? Yeah. So, at the end of the day, I didn't fight well. That's not anybody's fault but me. I wear that, and I have to wear that until I get into the ring again and prove that I'm a better fighter. So, I mean, all of this fuels the fire, right? Like, and you know me, that this is, okay, now I'm going to have to show everybody. And this isn't the first time. Right. Unfortunately, this isn't the first time. This is not the second time. This is all new. So, I mean, I think everything you go through in life teaches you something. And I'm a big believer in learning lessons and moving forward and progressing and becoming better because of them.
Well, every time I hear talks about professional athletes, that's literally what you have to do. You take what you learn, and you can't dwell on it, though, can you?
You can until it's time to move forward. So right now, I don't have a plan. I have to heal. And I mean, I have a plan of what I want to do. I want an immediate rematch, and I want to beat her up and then knock her out, which is what Jonathan's plan was to begin with. I just didn't follow the game plan.
Let everybody know who your new trainer is, Jonathan. Let everybody know.
Sorry, Jonathan Banks, and he's amazing. He comes not only from a boxing background, but he comes from legendary status with Emmanuel Stewart. He trained under him. He's trained Klitschko. He's trained Cecilia Brækhus. He's currently training Gennady Golovkin and Badu Jack. And he still is my current trainer. We had a little setback, but I believe in surrounding yourself with people who want the best for you, right, and who can get that out of you. And I believe he can. And I think what happened, fight night, was I was stuck in between two styles. I had a lot of things happen before the fight that I unfortunately let get to me. But I also think I was robbed of 4 rounds of my fight where I wasn't given the opportunity to show what champions are made of. And champions come in late in the fight. That's why they call them the championship rounds. And I wasn't able to go to those rounds that where push comes to shove, you show up or you quit. And we all know I don't quit. So, I feel like I wasn't given that opportunity to show when there is an adversity or a challenge, you either rise to the occasion or you sink. And that's what differentiates great athletes from average athletes. So unfortunately, I didn't get that opportunity to rise, and I was just an average athlete that night.
Yeah. So how do you for people that don't know how to do this, or how do you come back from that now? Like, what's your process after the fight, waking up day after day and taking the steps forward to the next thing you're going to go with? But break it down for us. How do you do that battle now in your mind?
I mean, it all starts with, the one step, and that's, you wake up, you feel sorry for yourself. In this case, I didn't feel sorry for myself at all, because the reason why I'm here is because I didn't show up. You know what I mean? I didn't listen to my corner. I didn't listen to the game plan, and I didn't fight well. But I think the process is you get up and you either choose to fight some more or you choose to quit. And that's kind of the end all be all. If you choose to fight and you choose to overcome challenges, then that's it. The first step is making that decision. And then the next steps just follow in suit. So for me, it is getting back down, going back into a training camp. Obviously not yet. Again, you have to let your body heal, and cuts take 7 to 8 weeks to heal correctly so they don't open again. And then you try and come up with a game plan. But for me, I'm a pioneer of the sport. I've been fighting every day. Since I decided I was going to box. So for me, just another day in the war is nothing new. What are you going to show me? Nothing I haven't seen before. So I guess it's mentally. So if it's for someone who's never been in this situation before, you have to convince yourself that you can overcome and succeed. I know that the version of Jelena that people saw that night was 30% of what I can do, if that even. Like I told Mark, I was 25, not 38, so I don't know what these people were saying.
But what happens now? What happens now with Erica when they announced right after the fight that she's going to fight for the title against Serrano? And how does that happen? So that puts you a year, at least a year away.
Listen, I don't know where they came up with that announcement, because there's no contracts that were signed. I mean, Serrano's people are trying to sign a contract with me before this fight. And I said, listen, nothing is ever for certain in boxing. Yeah. So where they came up with this after the fight, that's eventually what they want to get to. But Erica messaged me on my Instagram, and she was telling me how sore she was, and telling me how much of a great fight it was, and blah blah blah. And I said, okay, listen, well, can we do it again? Because it wasn't great for me. It was great for you. So let's heal up and get an automatic rematch. And she said, I'd love to again. Let's try and let's see if it makes sense. So I don't think she even has Serrano in her crossfires. Obviously, that's a fight they want to make happen. But I believe that fight was stopped prematurely, and I believe I'm owed a rematch.
Is Serrano your end game between all of us and the thousands of people that are going to watch this? She's
not my end game. She's another puzzle piece. She's just one of hundreds, you know what I mean? And again, yes, you guys want to talk about the fact that I'm 38. Well, my body doesn't feel like I'm 38. My mind is definitely not 38. But I mean, I think as long as my body feels good, and that was the first question I asked to Jonathan, because I said to him, real talk, fighters are the last to know. So did I look old? And this was what really sucked, because I probably had the best camp in 54 camps that I've done. Wow. Or 53. This was the best camp I've ever had. I talked to Mark, it was the week before the fight, and I was like, I feel amazing. Wow. And it's usually never that I am able to say that. Usually it's, I'm a little tight, I'm a little sore, something's some kind of drama with work or with family or with whatever. Something is always. And I was like, it was the first camp that I was like, man, I had amazing people around me that pushed me every day. But at the end of the day, we looked at each other and said, man, that was good. Let's do it again tomorrow. So I think, I think when we come up with the age is just a number thing, I honestly believe, and it's day to day, fight to fight, maybe there'll be that day where I do show up and I'm like, holy shit, man, this is not that's it. But I wasn't, it was funny. We went to the hospital in New York. They don't touch you. They examine you, but they don't touch you. Wow. So you have to go to the hospital to get any kind of work done. So So I went to the Army base hospital, and they ask you, they say, okay, scale 1 to 10, how much pain are you in? And I was like 0. Like, I mean, I barely did anything. I don't know if you saw the fight, but I actually didn't fight. And so the guy's like kind of laughing. He's like, no, seriously, like how much pain? And I said, honestly, 0. I think I was hurt more in training, like, and so you get stitched up, whatever. And then Erica comes in, because I think what a lot of people didn't understand, it wasn't all my blood. Erica came in and got 5 staples in the side of her head, but you couldn't see it because of her hair.
Right. But we saw it during the fight, though. We saw it like them pushing against her head in between rounds. Yeah, they were.
She came in for 5 staples, and they asked her, how much pain are you in? And she's like 8. And they're like, where's your pain? And she was like, here, here, here. And I was like, ha. I'm like, I don't know if she's going to want to fight me again. She's in so much pain. But so, like my body feels great. And at the end of the day, like I don't feel 38. And I was told that I don't look 38 either. So.
Well, that's always good. Yeah. Okay, let's dial back. I mean, 38, but you're not that old. So let's dial back to when Jelena wants to start punching people. When was that? How did that come about in your life?
Okay, so my background is I played basketball. Well, I played every sport, and I decided on basketball when I was in high school, because it was, and maybe this is why I was drawn to boxing from day one, but it's something that you can practice on your own and get better, as good as you can get on your own. So like, I mean, I played baseball, I played volleyball, I love volleyball. I was really good at volleyball, but you can't play volleyball by yourself. I mean, you can, but it gets really boring really quick.
Did you think when you took up boxing though? Basketball? Did you think you were going to go like to call? Were you going to go to like?
Well, I walked on the team at U of A. So I went to University of Alberta, and I showed up and I was like, yeah, okay, let's try out. And so I tried out. I went through all of training, all of tryouts, all of training camp for tryouts. And then very first practice, I blew my ACL out. So I made the team. Everything was set in stone. Wow. And then I blew my ACL out. And, but I was lucky that I had some amazing people in my life that I didn't realize. I mean, I knew they were like so awesome, but I didn't realize how influential they were in my life early. And this is why I love being a role model to kids. But I had a high school basketball coach. And I actually got cut from my junior high team because the coach didn't like me. I played the same position as one of her proteges, and I was a harder worker. I've always been an extremely hard worker and up for any challenge. And so I ended up challenging the girl who was her protege. So she cut me, right? She didn't like me, didn't like my attitude, whatever. And when the senior girls basketball coach found out, and like, mind you, I was a runt, like I was so tiny in high school. And when he found out that I got cut, he said, okay, listen, Jelena, like I had a meeting, and I was in grade 10. I was like freaking out that I was like being called into the principal's office. And he said, listen, I'm going to let you come and play on our team. You're not going to get a lot of playing time. And we'll put you in whenever we can. Cause like, again, I was so much smaller than everybody. He goes, but I believe you're good enough to at least get some minutes. Like, you're probably going to be one of our off the bench girls, but like, you're not going to get a lot of time. And I said, this is amazing. I get to do it like at the grade 10. I thought my life, my life was over.
So I got cut from the junior team, but now you're on the senior team.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, and this was the head of athletics director, actually, Ian Hidley. He coached Steve Nash in high school, like way back. And so I end up, so basically what he taught me at that time, he taught me that when a door closes, a window can open, and the opportunities that you choose to take from those moments is up to you. Right. So now fast forward to university, and I blow my ACL out. Now I'm like, oh my goodness, I went to university to play basketball. I didn't really go to school. Like, I mean, like you're like, I don't know what I'm going to take. I was going to take business, but I mean, my family's full of entrepreneurs. I can learn more business from my dad in a minute than I can in university. But I was like, oh, life is over. I'm not playing basketball and Okay, we'll go through the whole process. So I went through the whole rehab. I rehabbed really quick. I healed really quickly. And at the time, because now this is 2001, they gave you a timeline. It wasn't per athlete, per whatever. It was like, you have 4 months before you can start doing this. And then you have X amount of time. And so I ended up starting to play pickup basketball with the boys at lunch, at noon ball. And my coach was walking on the rafter, walking by, and she sees that I'm playing. And she calls me into her office. She goes, Jelena, we haven't medicaled you to play for our team yet. You can't be playing pickup ball with the boys that are going to fall on you. And I was like, she goes, I don't care what you do. You just can't do it here where everybody can see you. Yeah. And I said, fine. So, I mean, I'm sitting, now I'm on the shelf and I'm sitting there watching boxing with my dad, super fight. I can't even remember. I wish I remember who it was, like De La Hoya, somebody, talking about how many millions of dollars these guys were making back in 2001. And I was like, family of entrepreneurs, we bust our butts every day, just to make it work. And I mean, so I looked at him, I was like, Dad, I don't know what we're doing wrong. And he goes, what do you mean? I go, man, these guys make $1 million plus for one night, like one night. This is me being super naive to boxing and anything about the combative sport world. I'm like, one night, $1 million bucks. Like, anybody could do that. I could do that. And he laughed at me and he goes, honey, it's not that easy. And I go, okay. He goes, I bet you couldn't do it. Immediately.
That was it.
Oh, okay. And so I went down, Googled boxing gym. Actually, didn't even Google. It was Yellow Pages back then. Looked through the Yellow Pages, and I was like, boxing gym. So I phoned them, and I swear, at that time, no gyms were open during the day. It was always evenings. So this is all volunteer. Yeah. Again, I knew nothing about the sport. So I phoned 3 or 4 of them. Don't feel like leaving a message because I'm always like, I need this yesterday. Give it to me now. So I got in touch with one gym and the guy answered the phone. And so I went down and I instantly fell in love with the sport. I think I must have been at the gym for 4 hours the first night, just doing footwork. And then he's like, okay, come back tomorrow. So I came back the next day and then I came back the next day. And so finally he's like, all right, so you want to try the sparring thing? And I was like, yep. Okay. He's like, you need to come back with a mouthpiece. So I went to Sport Check and I boil and bite mouthpiece. So that's, for me, it was always just about the challenge and about learning and about trying to be the best version of myself in whatever I'm doing each day. So that was it for me. I remember I was doing a drill with this older lady who was doing, and you have to keep in mind, this is 2002, 2001, I think. And boxing wasn't a thing for women.
No.
At all.
No.
At all. So I was doing this drill with this lady who, when I walked into the gym, was super territorial about a female being in her gym. And it wasn't oh, hug it out and let's whatever.
Yeah, no.
You're in my space. I'm going to punch you in the face and get you to leave. I want all the attention kind of thing. So we did this, jab and parry drill. And I remember I didn't even have a mouthpiece at the one time. And so you're supposed to catch and jab. And so I'm like, okay, you go. Boom, right in the nose. Smoked my nose. My eyes are watering. Nothing was bleeding. But I was all I remember thinking was, F you. Beat it. You didn't even give me a warning. And all I could think about was how I wanted to hit her back harder. Every time. So I think it was innately inside of me.
See,
somehow.
But don't you think that though, in general, if you go to any gym, you notice the kid that when he gets smacked in the face, he doesn't back up, he steps forward. And people always say that. When I go into a gym, they're like, Mark, what do you think of this guy over here? And I'm like, no. And they're like, how do you know? And I'm like, I know, trust me. And the second I see the kid get drilled in the mug and he walks forward, I'm like, that's the guy you got to show some stuff to, Yeah, and it's true. So did you see your mentality right from day one was, oh, I'm going to smash this chick one day. You didn't think oh, I didn't have a mouthpiece in. You didn't think oh, I want to go home. You thought the complete opposite. And that's a very few people think the opposite.
Well, and it was funny. And so then we go to the first sparring, and it was a girl from another gym, not the first like outside sparring. And this girl like teed off, like she must have had like, I felt like 20 pounds on me or something. And she like teed off. And then my little one friend, she's like tiny. She's like 5'1", in like 100 pounds soaking wet. And so she went in and just like threw a million punches at her. And I was like, okay, whatever. And then first fight I had, first amateur fight, was against the girl that the sparring. I mean, we made it happen. There was always things we made happen because there wasn't a lot of women. And so I ended up having her as my first fight. And I beat the shit out of her. Like I stopped her. I don't remember which round, but I was just like, payback is a bitch. And that's, that's what it is. And so for me, that's been the mentality of my life. And, I've had a ton of losses, but I've avenged every single one of them. And usually in spectacular fashion. Some, like I think Layla McCarter, I squeaked out I win, but I broke her arm on my head, so there's always something amazing that'll happen through the process, and so I'm looking forward to the opportunity to be able to avenge this loss in a spectacular fashion. And if that means I just outclass her, that's the way it's going to be. But I'm hoping we outclass her and then knock her out. And that's usually what happens in the times that I've avenged most of my losses. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's it feel like?
That's kind of how I got into boxing.
Yeah. What's it feel like to sleep someone?
Oh,
well, you worry at first. Cause I mean, at the end of the day.
No, honestly, no. Jay, tell the truth on the show. Don't lie. You can't lie on the Me and Jesse podcast.
Okay.
You can't.
Okay. First time ever.
Okay.
I was fighting in Winnipeg. It was the first time I had fought outside of Edmonton. First time I was booed ever in my life. Like in anything I've ever done, I've never been booed. And I was booed aggressively. I fought on the Butterbean undercard. So it was quite a big show.
Wow.
So I go out and it was a 6-round fight, 8-round fight. I don't remember. It was either 8. It was one of my first like step ups in rounds. And I was fighting Olivia Garula, and she was from Winnipeg. So, I mean, she was adored by everybody.
Yeah. Shout out to Olivia.
I don't think Olivia likes me very much anymore. And I was getting like the shit kicked out of me, like actually like getting beat up like every round. First time, I'll tell you, Winnipeg, not a great, I mean, it's great fans, but like we stayed in like a 1-star hotel. It was so dirty and gross. Like some point, like we got to the fights and I was like, Milan, are we really staying here? And he's like, yeah, you want to be a fighter? You got to stay with the fighters and you got to be like a fighter. And I was like, okay, all right. So like, it was like, I didn't take off like any piece of clothing in the hotel. Like I slept fully clothed with my jacket on because I mean, it was Winnipeg in the winter. It was -40. You walk down the halls and you just tuck everything in a little tighter because you don't want anything to like
touch you.
Like it was just gross. 1-star hotel. I go into the press conference. Olivia's like the meanest person I've ever met. She's like, yeah, like almost like you should be happy to share the ring with me. And I was like, okay, well, good luck. Have some fun. See you later. Like I leave. We go and I was getting like beat up through 4 rounds, like beat up. It was like first time I saw the lights, and Milan, I go back to corner. Milan looks at me, goes, okay. He goes, you either show me something this round or we throw the towel in and we never talk about boxing again. Like never, ever. Wow. Like we're done with this and this isn't for you. And like, it was a learning experience. We had some fun, blah, blah, blah. So I come out the next round and I'm like, near the end of the round, I land this beautiful right hand. And I go back and he's like, okay, gives me high fives. So like the conversation didn't happen before. And so he's like, okay, go out there and give me my instructions, pushes me out into the ring. I fly out. Boom, boom, beautiful knockout. Probably one of like, if they had HD back then, this would have been highlight reels like all over the place. Like I have it on like sketch DVD that I have scratched. Like, so beautiful knockout, face plant. I'm jumping around because I'm so excited because, again, I was getting the shit kicked out of me for the first, like, 4 rounds. And I go back to the corner. We're celebrating. You know, I had won some fans in Winnipeg at the time. And so I go back, and then time goes. And you're like, okay. First, I'm like, I think I probably stepped over Olivia, and I was like, yeah! Da, da, da. And then, like, after, I was like, oh my God, okay, Milan. And I pushed Milan to go, like, look, I'm like, you go check. And he's like, no, you go check. And I was like, I'm not going to check. So he goes and checks, and finally she got up. And then, I mean, then it was the best feeling in the world. So there's a moment, I have to admit, there's a moment where you have concern after you do the celebration, the first celebration. Right. And then, like, as time goes, like, I mean, we're talking like the longest, like, 7 minutes of your life when someone doesn't move. You're like, holy shit. Like, but, you know, when I again, so it's the most amazing feeling, but also the most scary when time goes on. And
what about the left hook one in Edmonton?
Yeah.
When you drilled that chick and she went face
same
first.
Girl, same punch. I'm gonna send it to you, Mark. It's the same girl, same punch. So
really?
It was
so what I'm
twice.
Okay, so twice. Okay, so see how
second time didn't feel as bad. Because I knew she'd be fine.
Yeah, I think you're bullshitting everybody watching the show today because I see how excited you get talking about it right now, and we're excited about watching it. But when you drilled that chick and everybody went nuts because she went face first. Face first, I don't care what anybody says.
Oh.
When you get knocked out face first, you're not getting up. 99.9% of the time, you get knocked backwards, you can get up. You get knocked out to the side, you can get up. Face first, very rare. It's over. It's over. Like.
I'm telling you, I knocked out Francesca Alcantara when I won my first world title. She fell back though, but the same thing, beautiful left hook, and I was like, that one didn't feel bad for a second. I was on top of the moon. I was like, this is the best night ever. Like, so yeah, like, I mean, there's situations like she got up eventually, and then, you know.
So the question is, do you like knocking people out?
Yes.
Okay. Good.
Anybody who says any different is a liar.
Liar.
Is a liar. Because I absolutely love it. Because there's 2 reasons why. One, you got highlight reel. I mean, I've seen that one knockout. I don't even know how many times on. And everybody's like, that's the first thing. They're like, hey, pull up the knockout. And I'm like, no, you pull it up. It looks weird if I Google myself. Like, but then 2, it solidifies a win.
Well,
when you knock people out. When you knock people out, it solidifies your win. Yeah. So
you got to send us that knockout. We're going to put it on our Facebook page, the Me and Jesse podcast Facebook page. I think you need to understand the level of how this. It's not that easy to do, everybody. So you have to see it because it's been viewed by millions of people around the world, and it is literally like fine wine. It never gets old. It is fantastic, and it's like a cartoon face plant. You know what I mean?
It's funny because people send it to me on Instagram all the time, and I was like, oh yeah, that's me.
Okay, let me ask you this then. When was the hardest you've ever been hit?
There's a few times. So I fought up when I first started. Again, like I've been around for a minute, and when I first started, we kind of fought whoever because you couldn't people were protecting fighters and others weren't, and you couldn't make fights happen. So I fought up in 135, which is 9 pounds heavier than where I fight now. There's a couple times where you've been hit, and some that are hard, like pure hard. And then there was some where I've been hit, like the hardest I've ever been hit was in the back of my head. And that really sucked. That kind of put me out on my feet. Again, not a legal punch in boxing. So those are memorable to me. And then there's somewhere you get hit and you're like, okay, better keep my hands up a little extra because that one kind of stung. Like, so, and it all depends. Like it's the kind of like the knockouts. It's the perfect storm, you know, the right spot, the right time, them moving in, the timing. And so because I am an aggressive fighter and I'm usually moving forward, the times that hurt are the ones where you walk into them and you're like, okay, well, maybe I should keep my hands up. I should actually listen to my corner that's telling me to keep my hands up. Okay, point taken. You get that one. I've had a couple of headbutts that have given me burners down your back, your neck, that you're like, okay, like that one on the temple didn't really feel great. But you know, at the end of the day, that's what you have strong neck and all the training for. So,
you know, there's lots of talk right now. There's lots of talk, and I do believe I want to take full credit for bringing it up to begin with many years ago about, and we have to put it on the show because people are trying to do it now, but people are trying to get a street named after you, right? And I would like you to tell everybody on the show today whose idea that was to begin with. Tell everybody, Jelena.
Mark, how many years ago was that?
Well, that was like a million years ago, but you were still.
I want to say it was like 2010 almost.
But you were still world champ at that time. And what I said was, I thought it was so bizarre that that's not even our current mayor and whoever's going to be the next mayor. How they have overlooked this for so many years.
Yeah, focus on the next one. The next one's coming.
Yeah, because it's so disturbing to me that, listen, Jay, we all know the truth. Okay, if you're a male and you're 8-time world champion, they'll name a hospital after you. They would name a street after you. They would name a park after you. This is a fact. Now, I've had it up to here, to here. So having your own podcast now, it's awesome because so many thousands of people are watching this podcast now that I want people to understand that it's ridiculous how there's something not like that. Now, I know you don't sit around and go, oh, they should name a street. I've never heard you talk like that, okay? But do you think it's warranted that something?
I've been a world champion off and on for a decade and a half. I say a decade and a half because I think people are like, holy shit, a decade is a long time. A decade and a half, 15 years off and on for 15 years. I am the first ever unified world champion for Canada, for WBA, WBC. I've never mind a street. I've never been Canadian Athlete of the Year. So it's an accumulation of things.
Crazy.
And it's because, I mean, it stems down to my own city. The fans are amazing. One thing I will say, fighting in Edmonton in front of our fans is probably one of the best feelings I've ever had. However, the people up in the decision-making positions don't respect our athletes in general, unless you're a hockey player or a football player. And so there's a lot of incredible athletes that are actually in Edmonton, Alberta, that are phenomenal, that we end up losing A, to Calgary, or B, to Toronto, because it's hard to make it work here.
You say hockey and football, but it's hockey and then it's a huge drop just to get to football. You know what I'm saying? This town is so hockey. Like the mentality of it all is so bizarre to me because when you have an 8-time world champion that has no recognition whatsoever, like no cutting ribbons, none of this stuff, I'm baffled. I'm baffled by it because forget about if you were a male, if you were a female in New York, the attention would be off the charts.
Well, that's why I'm doubly baffled because in Canada, everyone's so woke these days that we think that we jump all over a 15-year champion that's female, and we just have dropped the ball completely.
But again, we go back to being from Edmonton, Alberta, and unfortunately, as much as I love this city, like we do not gain the attention of Canada as a whole, and that's part of our city. That's part of why the people who live here love living here is because we are grinders. We get up, we go to work every day, we work hard, we party hard, we live life amazing in Edmonton, and that's why we stay here. That's why if you've ever lived in Edmonton, you will always have a part of Edmonton in you, and that's because our community is incredible.
Correct.
However, as an athlete, you're also tarnishing yourself by living here, and that's you're holding yourself back, and that's what the frustrating part is you want to live in this amazing community, but you also want to prosper and get ahead and be respected for what you do. Well, not just as a community member. Like, I mean, for example, like, not only am I an 8-time world champion and been a world champion for 15 years, but I also do a lot to give back in the community that I don't talk about because I do it for me. But if you're talking about role models to support, I have been a community member in Edmonton before I was a world champion. And, I'm the first to do anything for the kids, to support the community and to do stuff. Not only that, I'm an entrepreneur as well in Edmonton. So there's so many things that the reason why I love this city. Yeah. But it's almost like people are like, oh, it's okay, Jelena, I'll be here another year. Yeah. And then that's maybe the problem is like, yeah, we'll do it later, right. and
well, sometimes later. We had eventually a guy named Laval Saint Germain on last week, and he is the first ever Canadian to climb Everest without oxygen. He also rowed a boat across the Atlantic Ocean, and from Edmonton, doesn't get a sniff of recognition across the country.
Nothing. It's crazy.
And it is sad because for the years this place was called the City of Champions.
I still call it the City of Champions. I don't care.
Me too.
Well, you're here, so there's a reason. That's a good reason. Yeah. But yeah, the rest of the teams don't deserve it. But but no, seriously though, like absolutely, someone just posted a petition for a name the street for you. And I just posted it on our live show here. Yeah. And so let's get this going, everybody, because it's time. I live in Spruce Grove.
My last fight.
You know what happens? Once this mayor's out, okay? Once this mayor's out, this buffoon who's the mayor, and you don't have to say it, Jay, I'm saying it. This buffoon.
I didn't say anything.
You didn't say anything. I'm saying it. Once this buffoon is out, and the next one that gets in, and I don't know who it's going to be, I will make sure that I have a relationship with them to some degree that we can have this conversation. And of course, I will get no credit for making this happen. None. Zero. But what's more important, that you will finally have your name at a street named after you. Listen, it doesn't have to be a street. It can be a park.
A nice park.
A nice park, and then I could go sit. I could go sit in the park with some breadcrumbs,
coffee,
and with a coffee, feed the pigeons, and I'll do some Instagram stories and say, look at the Jelena Mrdjenovich Park, and I'll feed some pigeons, and that's what I'll do in my old age.
It was funny because we did speak about this like many moons ago, Mark, and you said you should have a street. And then after my last fight, I think it was TJ from YG Fitness. He's the one who started this petition because now everything's online.
Yeah, I saw it.
Everything's online type thing. And I laughed because I was like, he's like, somebody was asking me, like, how cool is it? I'm like, oh, I mean, we've talked about this. And I even said, I'm like, Mark and I spoke about this many years ago. This will never happen because – I mean, heaven forbid they support a female in our city.
Don't forget, we actually had. Don't you forget, Jelena, Sean Obrowski from Characters Restaurant was part of it. He was petitioning every.
He was actually.
I'm giving him all the credit because he came to me and he said, Mark, she should have a stream named after her. And it's funny. I remember things like this because to me they are important. And Sean said, former restaurant owner of Characters Restaurant, best restaurant in Edmonton, hands down. He said, Mark, we have to figure this out. He petitioned his father, who's a big business leader. He petitioned the Crystal Glass guys. Everybody was on. All the biggest business people in the city were like, that makes a lot of sense.
And it went on deaf ears every time. And it went remember, we were sitting, I think we were having coffee, and I laughed. And I said, okay, guys, good luck. And you guys were like, watch, we'll make it happen. And I was like, okay.
Because it sounds so common sense to all of us, right? And then let's talk about this too. Let's talk, because this is going to happen one day, or whether they want it to or not, it'll happen. The thing that I want to talk about is your current business champs. And because I don't want to run out of time before we bring that up. Now, you have location downtown. You're opening a second still?
Well, we're paused. I mean, it's really hard. This business, this economy is very volatile right now. So, I mean, it's tough to sink more money into a losing venture. So
what do you do now? What do you do now with Champs Downtown? What's going on with that?
I mean, we tread water. We try not to lose too much money. And again, like I've been doing, because I'm a big advocate for mental health, and we all know this. I've spoke about it. I went through major depression last year, and the only way I knew how to get out of it was to get a fight. And I know that sounds so backwards, but I needed the routine. I needed the drive. I needed something that I knew gave me focus and made me feel better because I was exerting myself every day.
Right.
And so depression is such a crazy thing, and mental health is something that's so overlooked, I think. And you know, how I get my mental health is through fitness and through sweating. And I believe, like, I've been running and doing, I call them recovery runs. And everybody's like, what are you recovering from? I said, it's my mental therapy. Just leave me alone. Like, let me just run. So I've been doing a lot of these runs. And I think this is why right now I have the ability to focus and come up with a plan and to make a change. And so I've been doing virtual classes, and we've been holding them, even though I'm losing money doing everything right now. But I do it for mental health. And so I've been doing these virtual classes. Last year I was doing Instagram live classes, which was kind of the only other thing that kept me kind of half sane, was connecting with that community on a screen. How shitty is that I have to go to a screen to get my mental health because I can't go to a gym. And so unfortunately, so that's what we're doing right now, is we're doing virtual classes, trying to support the community as much as we can to get that sweat equity. But it's only a matter of time before you have to like cut your losses and figure things out. So you know,
because the gym is incredible, but the gym is incredible. So for people, if this passes one day, I'm not going to say it if it's not true. It is done to the perfect. It's perfect for that type of gym. For that type of gym, when we walked inside the first time, I'm like, she's got to be kidding me. Did she lose her mind? Like, I was like, I
did.
Yeah, you did, because I was like, this is way too dope. I'm like, this is so dope.
I did a lot of research.
Did you ever?
I went around.
Yeah.
I went around the world, but I went all over to every different gym. I picked some stuff that I liked. I picked, you know, because, I mean, you've been to a lot of combative sports gyms.
Yeah.
They're ghetto. You walk in, you're like, am I in the right?
Scary.
You're like, am I in the right spot? Like, but I think the benefit you get from learning, from using combative sports, I'm not just talking about boxing. Every combative sports, the endorphins that you get from doing what we do is by far some of the best exercise, not only physically, but mentally that you'll ever get, mentally and emotionally. The relief that you get from doing what we do is it, and that's why it's so addicting. That's why fighters have the hardest time, like, quitting, is because the adrenaline, the endorphins, and the hard work. Like, Jay, what's
the odds? Yeah. What's the odds of the girl from Hay River, Northwest Territories, to become 8-time world champ and to be where you are today? What's the odds of, because I want people at home to understand where you're from, right? You're not from like New York City. You're from Hay River, Northwest Territories. That's where you were born. And you are you're 8-time world champ. And then said, no, I'm not. I don't want to just be 8-time world champ. I want to open the dopest boxing gyms for people so they can. And I know what you're doing. You're starting this community thing, which I love. I love seeing that. You got this community thing. What's the odds you are where you are sitting today, being like, for that girl sitting at home right now that's watching this show and thinks it's totally impossible and it can never happen to me and I can't do it?
Mark, when I opened the gym, you and I had this conversation, and I said to you, I've been told from the closest people in my life that I would fail. And in fact, when I went and looked at the space, Champs, where it is now, Champs Downtown, the building was like almost should have been condemned. It was so bad. And my dad walked through with me. And like, again, my dad is like, I looked up to him my entire life. He came to Canada with nothing and couldn't even speak the language. And so I was, and you know, and same thing with my mom. My mom has worked her entire life to support. And I think that comes from families who who are immigrant families. Like I come from an immigrant family, and you know, my dad himself walked through the space with me and he said, "This is okay. This is a good location. You know what, honey? Yeah, when the gym fails, I'll take over your lease and open a restaurant." And I looked at him, I said, "Pardon me?" And he goes, "Yeah, when your gym fails, it's okay. I'll save you." And I was like, "Okay, all right, done." Signed the lease, did the construction, opened a beautiful business that unfortunately
was doing awesome. Yeah,
we built something pretty cool. You know how I am. I have a hard time admiring the work when you're moving forward. So you can't admire your successes when you're not done the journey. Yeah. I don't think. And that's for people who are like, "How does it feel?" And I was like, "I don't know. I'll tell you when I'm done how cool it feels to be an 8-time world champ, because I'm not done yet." Like, I mean, now I got to win them all back. So I mean, what are we going to have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 + 4, 12. So we're going to be a 12-time world champion eventually, but you know, like that'll come one day. And
Erica, we're calling you out on the Me and Jesse podcast. Don't answer the phone. Don't answer the phone, because it's coming. And it's coming with a right hand, left hook combination, 2-piece and a soda. It's coming. It's coming.
It was funny. I kept telling people, I'm like, "Stop. Everybody's trash talking." This is why I love our community. Everybody's behind me 1,000,000%. And I had friends that were like trash talking Serrano before. I'm like, "You guys stop. I need her to sign the paper."
What are you talking about? Serrano's got me blocked on Twitter because I told her you're going to get your chiclets knocked out. And she blocked me on Twitter. She blocked me on Twitter.
Everybody.
I started laughing.
She blocked my friend Carmen too, because they immediately after the fight started shit talking, and then Carmen said something back and they blocked her too. So I think half of my inner circle is blocked from her people.
I always said she's the least famous person that ever blocked me on Twitter. So
that's so funny. See, and this is why I love my people. Like, you know, like it's family, and that's the thing is. So yeah.
Well, everyone, we've been joined by Jelena Mrdjenovich, 8-time world, the champ.
The GOAT.
She needs the GOAT.
The GOAT.
Yeah. We actually said that before. Like, you are the GOAT.
Jesse said it. That, right? Jesse said it, and nobody trash talked on YouTube. Everybody said yes. It doesn't matter, Jay. You lost your last fight. You're 38 years old, but you feel like you're 25. But that doesn't change. That doesn't.
Hey,
change
Tom Brady's still playing.
That's right.
Winning championships.
And it doesn't change the fact that you're the GOAT.
That's
it. You're the GOAT. In female boxing, you're the GOAT.
I'm definitely one of the reasons why the sport is where it's at. And there's like everything, there's a lot of moving pieces that get anything to where it's at. And you know, I don't think we've seen the best version of me yet. And I think that's what I'm striving to do. And for me, I thought I was close, but I just didn't show up fight night. So unfortunately, that means we get to do it all over again a bunch of times more.
Let's go.
So I mean, I honestly, I said it in an interview, and Jonathan gave me crap after, because he's like, "Why'd you say that? I knew you jinxed us." And I said, "I don't believe in that. I don't believe in jinxing it, but I really do believe that I haven't shown the best version of me. And when that happens, we keep it as long as we can. And then when that starts to fail, that's when we're going to be done." So people are always asking, "How many more years?" And I was like, how many more years do you want to be around? Like, how many more years are you going to live your life? Because that's what I feel like you're asking me. Like,
that's
beat
right.
it. I'll tell you when I'm done.
Yeah, that's right.
So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
All love, baby. All love. We got all love for you. We can't wait for you to sleep someone with that left hook, and we'll be, all of us will be smiling from the mountaintop.
I was wondering when I was going to be asked to be on this podcast, and I've been like counting the days and like counting the hours, and I was hoping it was going to be in real life, because I like real life. The energy is a little different. Energy from you guys is always amazing, but you know, I love this conversation. I know we could talk for hours on it.
Part two coming, everybody. Part two's coming sometime late summer. Part 2 coming.
There we go.
Don't worry.
Well,
they'll be in my Airstream in Vegas. This is going to be, I'll be like outside with the Airstream.
Well, we want to do this all in person one day too, but
Yes, we will.
I know. And life is challenging right now. So, yeah. Everybody's just got to keep putting one foot in front of the other and
100%.
making it through each day by day, and just trying to get better 1% every day.
Exactly.
So.
Thank you so much, Jelena, for being on the show today. We love you. We can't thank you enough for being on the show. I want everybody out there to follow on her social media. I'm sure it was flashing on the screen all during the whole show. It's important to follow her. And when her gym gets back running, if you're in the local area, I thoroughly recommend you go check it out. You'll be shocked.
You might be sore the next day too.
Yeah,
that's a good thing.
That too.
Thanks so much, Jelena. Have a good night.
Thanks for
joining
having me on,
us.
guys. Bye.
Bye. Eight-time world champ, everybody. Eight-time.
Not the 2-time.
Not 2, not 3.
Time.
Not 4.
Eight-time.
Eight-time.
I'm serious too. She's the GOAT.
She's the GOAT in female boxing. Undisputed GOAT. There's no one that's. Yeah.
It is crazy because.
Yeah.
In Canada, that should be heralded.
Oh,
it should. We talked about Laval, and I 100% believe that guy deserves the Order of Canada. Jelena deserves.
He does.
Jelena deserves. I can't believe. And what a home run for them.
How is Laval Saint Germain and Jelena Mrdjenovich not on the Canadian Walk of Fame? Let me explain that one more time. I'm going to break the effing screen today. Jelena Mrdjenovich, 8-time world champ, is not on the Canadian Walk of Fame. And how is Laval Saint Germain, the only Canadian to summit Mount Everest without oxygen, not on the Canadian Walk of Fame? There is something wrong with this system. And the Me and Jesse podcast is going to find a way to correct it.
We got to get that done.
Yeah.
Well, if you're in the Edmonton area, you can always check out Boston Pizza, Hampton Market, and Windermere.
Fantastic.
Unfortunately, Edmonton's one of the red zones right now, so it's a lot.
But patio's open.
Yes, patio is open. You can still do that, which is
It's
good.
got great patios at both his locations.
That's good because we need good patios.
Yeah.
And the weather's getting nicer.
Yes.
Which is awesome.
Yes.
Finally.
Boston Pizza Marketplace and Windermere patios. They got the little heater things out there. I'm telling you, fantastic.
Maybe they'll bring you a little blanket.
Ask.
Doesn't hurt to ask.
Does not hurt to ask.
And also,
June
18th, big fights coming up.
Fight TV.
On Fight TV, you can buy that fight. Santoro Brothers, co-main event and the main event.
This is must-watch TV, everybody.
Yeah.
Let me explain this to you. The Santoro brothers are like Axe and Smash in the WWE used to be, like the British Bulldogs in the WWE. You understand when I tell you this? These kids, these kids aren't just studs. These kids should be like models, okay? They look like actors, okay, that can kick your ass. So they look like Italian models that can whoop your ass, and their main event, co-main event on Fight TV. And you imagine the city of Edmonton couldn't get it together in their head. Okay, they're not going to have fans at the show. It's on Fight TV. And they couldn't figure a way to let them have it in Edmonton. And now they're having it outside of Edmonton. No fans on Fight TV. And people are buying this now. They're subscribing to it now on Fight TV because these two kids are must see boxing. Yeah. And I'm telling you, these kids technically to watch box are they're Canelo-esque. Really? I said that to. Let me explain. I'm going to say it one more time. And I hope, and if they watch the show, I don't want their head to explode because I love these kids. But what I'm trying to tell you is they are Canelo-esque in what I'm talking about with their technique.
Wow.
Yes. Fact.
That's big praise coming for you.
Fact.
Well, you can tune into that June 18th. You just got to get it on Fight TV.
Fight TV.
Which is a very...
We'll share the link on our Facebook page or Twitter and the rest of our stuff. Look who's on. Did you see who's on next week? Yeah. Family reunion next week. Family reunion next week, man.
Throwing it up here. There it is.
Wow.
The first ever Albertan
ever
in the UFC.
Yeah.
The athlete, Jason McDonald. Now, when you see pictures, you see the thumbnail of this guy.
Shredded.
It's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
I can't believe someone could look like that.
Correct.
And so he's on the show next week, going way back. When's the last time you talked to him?
It's a tough one with me and him. Listen, I managed and trained him for over 10 years, right? I managed him in the UFC. I trained him. It's really a tough one for me because I love him. I mean, we spent so much time together, and this is pre-UFC into the UFC.
Right.
So
he fought in the MFC as well.
Yes, but he also fought in like Tuck the Yuck Duck shows and shows in like Nowheresville against we were in all kinds of weird scenarios, and he always delivered. He worked so hard, and we got connected through Frank Shamrock. And I went to train with Frank Shamrock, and he told me about this guy named Jason McDonald that he called the athlete. He's like, this guy is nuts. Wow. Like he's so athletic. And I was like, oh, cool. And then one day I met him, and then we just started talking, and then I started training him. The story is nuts. And you're going to tune in next week. And we haven't talked in years and years and years and years. We're going to talk for the first time on the show.
There you go, everybody. Yeah. Tune in next week when Jason, the athlete, McDonald joins us on the Me and Jesse podcast.
Correct.
Thank you, Jelena, for joining us. Put pressure on your town councilors, your city councilors, and whoever the next mayor is. We need a street named after Jelena because she's literally
think about it.
The greatest of all time female boxer,
undisputed
in the world, and she's from Edmonton, and people don't even know that.
I don't mind the park, Jesse, because I can see myself.
People overwhelmingly want a street,
but we'll take a park because I'll go there and feed pigeons with like you hate pigeons. But I don't care. But I'll go feed pigeons with my bucket hat on, and I'll wear sunglasses, and it'll be cool. It'll be cool for Instagram. But how Jelena is mind-boggling. Listen, the city of Edmonton, shame on you, shame on you, shame on you.
100%.
Yeah.
Has to happen. Has to happen very soon, because it's a travesty that it's. Hey, I live in Spruce Grove, and Jennifer Heil has a street named after her.
Yes, and rightfully so.
So there you go.
Congrats on and congrats, Jesse, on the new house. Jesse got a new house. Everybody,
thank you.
No, new house. Backyard is the size of literally Rodgers' place. so congrats on that. Great job with you and Nikki, and I'm very happy for you. And
thank you.
Just
what
great.
A gong show. What a gong show all it is.
It's never easy, eh? Never easy.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
what it works out in the end.
What are you gonna do?
But until next time, everybody. I think that you remember too, Jelena talking to us after a loss and a bad one.
Yeah,
you got to still get up and keep taking those steps forward, everybody, because it's the only thing we got. It's the only thing we can do is just keep taking the steps forward. And until next week, that's Mark. I'm Jesse. This has been the Me and Jesse podcast, the most important and interesting and exciting 60 minutes with the GOAT on today. That's
the GOAT.
It's pretty crazy.
We'll
see you next time when we're joined by Jason McDonald on the Me and Jesse podcast. Have a good night, everybody.
Thanks for watching the Me and Jesse podcast. Follow us at facebook.com/Me and Jesse.